Hey folks, I'm back. I know I haven't shown my face around here in a while, but I figured now is probably as good a time as any to chill for Season of Discovery, so here we go. At BlizzCon 2023, Blizzard announced Season of Discovery to launch on November 30th, 2023. There won't be a public test realm to allow players a completely new experience where they have to discover new things, hence the name. Blizzard has stated that they want exploration to be meaningful again, having players wonder if it's worth to venture into that cobalt-infested mine because who knows, a class rune might just await you there. Cresting a hill, not knowing what awaits on the other side, was, I think, one of the main selling points of Vanilla when it originally released, and I'm personally very excited to have that feeling again, if only for a little while. Obviously, with the internet nowadays and sites such as Wowhead, these things won't remain a mystery for long. Min-maxers are sure to want to get their hands on those runes as fast as possible, and I'd bet a lot on them figuring out an add-on that tells you exactly where to go and what to do to get those glyphs within the first week, forcing others to follow suit if they want to remain competitive. For those just looking to have a good time and enjoy the day, it's going to be different. They can calmly refuse spoiling themselves, but they might pay dearly for it if they end up getting ganked by the infamous sweatlords. But such is the nature of gaming in the roaring 20s of the 21st century, and there's nothing that really can be done about that. We'll just have to suck it up and let those undead rogues and gnome warriors dance on our corpses. At least we will have a sense of wonder and mystery for the first couple days though, just as it was back in 2005, without abundant resources and tutorials scattered all over the web. A new part of Season of Discovery is Blizzard adding additional phases before level 60. They said they're planning to gradually raise the level cap on Season of Discovery and making leveling up to the previous cap faster, which means people will be able to catch up easier and also won't have to play as much all at once, with the initial push to 60 that normally accompanies new releases being limited by the level caps. I think this gradual increase will also help them ease up on the pressure of making a lot of changes in a short time span and implementing unused content, while also allowing to capitalize on the current Classic Plus hype that's been going on for the last couple weeks or months. And I think that's a smart move on their part. I also think that this will enable people who are interested in Classic WoW but are sort of limited by their time as the player base is aging, ease into the game and not feel like they're falling behind if they don't play as much as others might. So the level cap is going to be level 25 for phase 1 of Season of Discovery. What are we supposed to do on level 25? Well, first off, Blackfathom Deeps is going to be reimagined as a 10-man raid for level 25 with bosses having new abilities and dropping new loot. This is going to be the first of many different level up raids, and I'm expecting Scarlet Monastery, for example, to also be on the list for that to get a revamp. During the BlizzCon demo, players were already able to test all the new runes and class spells, as well as the first two bosses in the new Blackfathom Deeps raid, which are Baron Aquanis and Gamura. Overall, the content seems to be scaled up to make it a little bit more challenging, with new mechanics being added. You will also have lots of professions to grind for and runes to discover once you hit 25, but if you still get bored and you really want to min-max, you might also want to prepare a full quest log ready to turn in once the level cap gets raised from 25 to give you a nice little head start. Another big focus of Season of Discovery is going to be the open world. I think the open world and most notably open world PvP are one of Classic WoW's greatest strengths, and with having played hardcore for quite a while now, I personally miss it. In regards to the changes with Ashenvale and the open world PvP opportunities, there's going to be enemy camps with new NPCs added which you can either defend or attack. The world PvP event in Ashenvale is going to give reputation for either the Silverwing Sentinels or the Warzone Outriders, and there's going to be new reputation rewards being added, as well as an Ashenvale exclusive mount which increases your speed by 50% while in Ashenvale, which is obviously going to be pretty nice for open world PvP. There's also going to be a new world buff added if you win the PvP event that you can also use, and I think Chrono Boon like you can with the regular world buffs in Classic Era. I really welcome the fact Blizzard is looking to expand on PvP, because I think open world PvP is one of classic WoW's main strengths, and it's something I've been craving ever since starting hardcore, which is quite the PvE focused experience, at least if you're as attached to your character as I am. I know a lot of you don't have the fondest memories of Phase 2 during classic WoW and the days of 5-man gank squads, but having personally played on an actually quite balanced server in terms of Horde and Alliance player base, it was one of the best times of Classic in my opinion. Some people have raised concerns regarding the balancing in PvP though, as the numbers seem to imply it's going to be quite bursty, though that's not really anything new in terms of classic PvP, which has always been like that to a certain degree. Blizzard has plans of adding unused content to the game on higher levels. Strong contenders for this unused content are certainly the Karazhan crypts, which I've showcased in my last video, and they've even shown a screenshot of during the BlizzCon presentation. Things like the South Sea Islands off the coast of Stranglethorn, perhaps the Emerald Dream, the Gates of Uldum, obviously in Tanaris, Quel'Thalas, or even our very own classic version of Outland that could be limited in scope compared to what we got in TBC. There is an old unused version of Hellfire Peninsula in the game files after all, so who knows, we might even get to take a peek behind the Dark Portal in Classic at some point. There are of course countless of unfinished questlines, not least the missing diplomat questline surrounding the question of where the hell is Varian Rune, who was actually imprisoned on Alkaz Island until halfway through vanilla, when the island in Dusthollow Marshes was changed to host a part of the Scepter of the Shifting Sands questline, or a quest concerning the Emerald Dream, which a lot of people miss entirely. It starts in Southern Temple by gathering the chained essence of Iranicus and bringing it to Itharias in a cave in the southwest of the Swamp of Sorrows. There's not much to it, but the quest text contains some references to the Emerald Dream and aiding the Green Dragon flight. They might also add the Stormwind Vault, a planned high-level instance similar to the Stockades, seeing my favorite zone, Azshara, finally being finished and getting some meaningful content would also be nice. There is always the Azshara crater, a scrapped battleground that was set to take place in the zone. These are just a couple of things Blizzard could expand upon further down the line. One of the major new mechanics added for Season of Discovery is the rune engraving system and new class runes available for players. Players will unlock runes from discoveries, which are new quests, treasure chests, or other secrets that are scattered throughout Azeroth. Once a rune is unlocked, you add it to your rune panel, which reminds a bit of the glyphs from Wrath of the Lich King, and they can then be attached to your gear such as gloves, chest, or pants slots. These runes will stay on your gear permanently, though you can swap them out without having to find them again while out of combat. So let's first take a look at which new class and role combinations will be enabled by this system. As you can see on this graphic taken off Wowhead, there are some notable changes. One of the most requested obviously is Paladins receiving a taunt in Hand of Reckoning and finally being able to actually tank. Shamans are also becoming a true hybrid class, able to fill all three roles. This is something that was already somewhat possible during regular Classic and is now being expanded upon through new runes. Kind of an odd one out though is mages being able to heal. A criticism often raised at this change is that it does not really correspond with the original design philosophy behind the classes, whereas most of the other changes, even Warlock's tanking, are somewhat in line with what was already there. After all, there is a raid encounter in AQ40 where you actually need to have a Warlock tank. Another change is that Rogues will finally be able to tank, which is something that the class was already leaning into a little bit with things like Ghostly Strike, which would increase your dodge chance, and Evasion, a defensive cooldown. The weird one they kind of left out is the Hunter, in my opinion. They're the only class that is still only able to fill one role. Looking at the original Survival Hunter tree, I don't really understand that decision. It was already possible to gain decent survivability by stacking dodge in conjunction with Aspect of the Monkey and Mongoose Bite, which works exactly opposite to the Warrior's Overpower, becoming available as you dodge an opponent's attack. I've played around with Tank Hunter on private servers that use the pre-1.12 itemization, with some male items still giving plus defense and the like, and it was fine to tank some of the level 65 mans. Obviously never ideal, but doable, so it's a bit baffling to me to see they left out Hunter tanks. But maybe that's something they will change in a future addition to Season of Discovery as we find new runes. Who knows? Judging by your comments, opinions on the upcoming season of Discovery vary wildly. Some of you think it's going too far, others are perfectly happy with the announced changes, but still hold some doubts as to whether or not Blizzard can actually deliver. Whatever the outcome may be, I think a lot of people are grateful for the fact that finally something is actually happening. When changing something as old and established as vanilla WoW balancing, going for a more radical approach to changes, I think, makes a lot of sense. First, it generates more interest than small, gradual changes would that only purists care about. And while the changes are too far reaching for some, it might serve to help us arrive at a balancing that feels good for the majority of players at some point in the future. Everything will depend on the feedback we, the players, can provide and how Blizzard will implement said feedback. So while I understand that some of you are a little bit taken aback by the radical changes Season of Discovery is going to entail, I think it's important to keep in mind that the player base of Classic and WoW in general is very diverse, and it's probably nearly impossible to adopt an approach that will please everybody. So I, for one, am glad that Blizzard did not let that scare them off and that they're trying something new. The main thing is that finally actual changes are being made and that the balancing is being touched at all, because let's not forget that Season of Discovery isn't the first seasonal server release for Classic. We had Season of Mastery, and that one fell flat in terms of actual meaningful changes, which was a source of disappointment for a lot of people when it first released. This time around, things will be different, they say, as they are finally taking a huge leap towards the long-awaited Classic Plus. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope to see you again soon. Have a good day, and let me know in the comments what you think about all of this.